Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this video, we're going to dive into a very controversial subject when it comes to hook choices in bass fishing. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about the types of hooks that I prefer over what is commonly known as kind of the most popular choice, I guess is what we'll say. And it's more so in the flipping and pitching and punching category than anything. Okay, and a little bit of a backstory. So the most popular option for bass fishing and flipping and pitching really since around the early 2000s has been straight shank hooks. That's when straight shank flipping hooks were starting to be produced by pretty much every manufacturer. And people were tweaking them. They were using like heat shrink tubing on the shanks to create a barb. And there's all kinds of innovation going on in flipping hooks, but it primarily had to do with that straight shank hook design. And a lot of people were really sold on this deal. And still are. There's still a ton of people out there, professionals and novices alike, that swear by the straight shank hook. And I'm not here to change your mind on it. But if you're one of the anglers like myself who has had a lot of issues with a straight shank hook when flipping and pitching, and losing lots of fish and snagging on cover, which results in a lost fish, then this video may be something that you want to watch overall. So there's a lot of people out there like myself who made that switch early on because everybody was saying that was the move, to a straight shank hook from the traditional offset shank wide gap hooks, and didn't see an improvement. In fact, we saw a decrease in the amount of fish that we landed. And for me, a backstory on like my experience with, flipping hooks is I moved from California to Florida. So I really didn't learn how to flip and pitch until I made that move. I did it a little bit in California. We were primarily around lakes like Lake Oroville and Shasta. So deep, clear, spotted bass, a little bit of largemouth reservoirs. But we did have like the Delta, and I had a little fishery called the After Bay that I really like to fish. And those were shallow fisheries where I could learn how to flip and pitch, but I wasn't super serious about it. But at the same time, the hooks that I was using, the EWG with, a heavy wire, those were working great. I didn't have any issues that I can recall. And then I moved to Florida and really wanted to, turn up the heat on my flipping and pitching, which I did. It's my favorite way to catch bass in tournaments. I ended up getting caught in that trend of fishing with a straight shank hook and, using a snell knot to have that hook pop up and get that hook in the top of the mouth of big bass. That was kind of the promise that I was sold with straight shank hooks. And I ended up seeing a drastic decrease in my hook to land ratio over time. And in fact, there was when I started getting actually pretty good tournament fishing down in Florida, there was 2 or 3 years where I lost, I'm not even joking, hundreds of thousands of dollars with a straight shank hook because of losing fish. And I experimented with everything. I decreased the size. I went down to like a 3/0 hook with some of these flipping baits. I increased it. There was one time where, I was fishing with this pretty much, it was like a shark hook. It was a huge Trocar 7/0 straight shank hook. And, nothing against that hook by itself, but the size, I learned that upsizing it, and putting that 7/0 hook in like a little BB cricket type deal, that got me even worse hooking percentage because I feel like the hook will actually roll in the fish's mouth, roll flat, because it's so big when the fish chomps down on it, it kind of rotates it sideways. But anyways, my landing percentage went down with that. And so I learned that, the 2 or the 4/0, 5/0 sizes, those had my best landing percentage, but it still sucked. okay? And I will say this, I've seen enough people talk about this this topic and their success rate with straight shank hooks to believe that it's not like people are not telling the truth. There's plenty of people out there that swear up and down that their hooking percentage is excellent with straight shank hooks, and I believe them. I really do. I think that everybody has a lot of different things going on. I think it comes down to mechanics. I think it has to do with the type of hooks that you have. It also has to do with the speed at which you go from feeling the bite to setting the hook. You know, whether you're dropping slack in the line or you're just pulling straight up as soon as you feel the fish. There's a lot of things going on with the mechanics of a hook set that my style of hook set may just not be compatible with a straight shank hook. So my solution was, and I've done videos on this in the past, so you've probably already heard this story, but I got fed up with that. And I think it was my second or third season fishing what was the FLW Tour, the pro circuit, that we went down the Harris chain, found a just absolutely killer flip and bite, was really excited about it because, you know, rarely these days do I get a good flip and bite during a tournament. And you know, the night before the tournament, I had got so frustrated with losing fish in practice. You shouldn't lose fish in practice. I lost fish in practice, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going back to an EWG extra heavy wire hook. Okay, so extra wide gap offset shank hook with a heavy wire. This right here is the Hayabusa 959. That's the exact hook that I moved to. This is my #1 hook that I use throughout the season. I go through more packs of these 959s in the 4/0 size and some 5/0 that, you know, nothing else as far as the hooks that I use even comes close to it. But I switched to this hook, and I had the most ridiculous hook to land ratio after I made the switch. The first day of the tournament, I think I caught like 25 fish flipping. All of them were pretty much over 3 pounds. It was wild. I had a couple fish that were in the 6 to 7 pound range that I absolutely 100% would have lost with a straight shank hook for whatever reason, but I got them in the boat with this hook. And the reason why I wanted to do this video is not just to restate the same argument that I've made about switching from straight shank back to EWG hooks. You know, I don't want to just redo the same videos I've done, but I want to point out one big key reason why I think a EWG is a better hook. And it's actually could be surprising to you because a lot of anglers, you know, when they're expressing how good a hook hooks a fish, what do they say? They say it hooks them in the top of the mouth every single time. Okay? That is touted as a very good characteristic of a hook. And that may be for like a, drop shot hook, like a small, tiny little drop shot hook. That's good because you got a pretty tough area around the lip there, and it's not going very deep. But if you think about the top of the mouth when you're flipping with a hook that you're using 65 pound braid with, you're using a broomstick for a rod. What is going on at the top of the mouth? It's all a little bit of skin, a little bit of tissue, and a lot of bone, okay? And when you have that, it mixed with that heavy tackle, that unforgiving tackle, what I have found over the years, and one of the reasons why I think I lost a lot of fish on straight shank hooks is because when it hooks a fish in the top of the mouth, that bone and a little bit of tissue is not enough to hold it firmly without wallowing out a hole. So when I set the hook on a fish and I'm fighting it through grass and all these things, and there's no stretch in the line and the rod's unforgiving, I think it just wallows out a big gaping hole in the tops of those fish's mouths. I've seen it time after time, and that leaves the opportunity for that weight to create leverage and pop that hook out. I think that's exactly what happens with a straight shank hook. So I argue that hooking a fish in the top of the mouth is probably the worst location to hook a fish, other than, just barely skin hooking it or something like that. But like if you were to compare hooking a fish, deep in the top of the mouth versus say in the cheek, I would choose the cheek every single time. And that's what an EWG does. You'll notice that if you fish with an EWG hook, when you set the hook and land that fish, you'll notice that that hook is stuck right in the cheek. And in the cheek, you've got some ligaments and things like that, but you've got a lot of muscle. There's a lot of muscle in that cheek area, and it doesn't wallow out a hole. You just don't have that opportunity to open up a big gaping hole for that hook to slip out of. And it becomes really hard to be able to get those hooks out of those fish sometimes. I have to pop it or use some pliers. And that, to me, is really the proof that EWG hooks are a superior flipping, pitching, and punching hook. So I guess I just wanted to do this video because I was thinking about, some of the past videos I've done on this topic, and I really didn't dive into that aspect that much. But it has become so obvious to me. That's why I have such a good landing percentage with EWGs. So anyways, like I said earlier in this video too, it really comes down to what's working for you. Every single person is going to be a little bit different in the way that they set the hook, the type of tackle they're using, the timing of setting the hook, and all of that. And so I want you to be mindful of what works for you. And totally, if you're having great success with a straight shank, I want you to continue fishing the straight shank. Do what's good for you, because somebody like me, I listened to my favorite pros switch to the straight shank, and it didn't work for me. It actually cost me a lot of money and a lot of headache over the years. I still listen to those pros. I think it just came down to what was good for them, and it just didn't work for me. So anyways, guys, just wanted to do this video. I want to hear your take on this topic. I know it's a kind of a hot button issue when it comes to hooks, probably the hottest, most controversial topic in the bass hook, space. So I want to hear your opinion on it. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I do want to ask you guys a favor. A couple favors. Number one, if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy these type of conversations, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Also, like and share the content. That's all great. But another way to support this channel is, well, I'm going to throw a couple at you. Number one, you can use the links in the description below to purchase the products. That'll have a little bit of a kickback to me, which helps me, stay motivated to do these videos. But the big one, I want to turn the camera around here, show you that sticker. I love St. Jude, and so I would like you guys to support St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I think you know why. Our family has been touched by that organization this year. This is a time of year where there's a lot of families that are going through issues, and St. Jude, is the greatest organization I know that is really doing, performing miracles on a daily basis. So I've got a fundraiser in the description below. There's a link below where you can follow that to the fundraiser page, and any size donation, $1, I don't care what it is. If you're looking for an organization to support this holiday season, click that link. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm going to see you out on the water. Trust the process.